my bones start to disconnect. My soul becomes hollow. In the endless night, I'm desperate to feel more alive. Alive. Dreams that keep me wide awake. Call me up out of the bed.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of RSCast with me, and this time I'm joined by Sir Pegasus and Kingsman. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. Sadly, there was no RSC streams this week, though, because it was the ERS playoffs. But in the background, still, we've had games going, and we've had some interesting results.
Certainly have, and well, while I spent about the first 10 seconds adjusting my camera, I was trying to think about how I feel, and well, sum up, good.
Yeah.
Sum up good, okay. Well, let's dive straight into the recap of week number 4, because that's what we're here for. Looking back at to the results of week 4, looking forward to the fixture of week 5. Starting here with the Glacies Conference. Sir Pegasus, giving this one to you.
Yeah, it was an absolutely brutal week for Apparel, who ended up losing twice. One of them was against Terra in a 3-1 loss, which, was a top of a half scramble, so you could understand that. But they also did lose to Naja as well. So a hard week for them, really. But Parmis and Terra also received 2 wins. So Naja did drop a draw, so it gives some space for these teams creeping up behind them to get even closer.
Alright, looking forward to see how the standings are for the Glacies. But first, Kingsman, giving the Ignis Conference to you.
Lots of sweeps all around the board, and if you remember last week, Kyron came on saying 8-0 and bigged up his week. I'm sure he won't be bigging up a 1-7 week, though. Getting swept by Alto, went 8-0, huge week for them as they go 8-0, but Liven's 1-7. It's a week to forget, really. Or if you want to boast and rub it into him in chat, go for it. I don't really care either way. But with only 2 3-1s, a lot of sweeps and a few draws, really splitting out the conference here. But some of the big games like Taishan and Obscurity ending a draw, that top fight is going to be one to look forward to.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like you said, 6 sweeps in total here in Prospect. 2 Glacies, 4 Ignis. Let's see how the standings are after these results. And, you said Ignis having a lot of draws, Glacies didn't. Glacies was more win or lose. So, Pegasus, how did the standings change with all those results?
Well, interestingly, despite Propel's 2 losses, they've somehow gained a spot on the table, and we see Parmis and Terra also having a little bit of a leapfrog there. It's a battle just outside of number 1, second, all the way down to 8th, being a lot closer than the rest of the table. We can see I guess you could say a close first place with Naja and a pretty clear bottom 2 between Craftsman and Tomfoolery. But I've seen some of the matchups next week, and that could change.
Alright, already looking forward to those fixtures. But first, moving on to the standings of the Ignis Conference. Kingsman, what can you tell me about the standings here?
Well, Obscurity and Alta tied for top. Alta's 8-0 week really benefiting them as they shoot to the top of the table. Mosaic, though, their week shoots them up to 3rd with Tartarus finding a nice place with them tied on 4th. Then a bit of a drop down, it's to Serene Taisho. We're looking good going into this week, but slipped a little. Livens, they were pushing for the top 3, but now they're 3 games away. But a comfortable 6-game gap to Jabatus, Caro, and Basilisks in 7th, 8th, and 9th, all with a massive negative goal difference. And then Cardinals just not able to find form recently. They have a 6 wins and a minus 60 goal difference.
Yeah, a big difference here between the number 6, number 7, and the number 9 to the number 10. So curious to see with the fixtures coming for this week if the standings are gonna change. And Pegasus already said something about interesting results. What can you tell me for the matchups that are happening this week?
Well, we're seeing a battle at the bottom, 9th versus 10th. Craftsman versus Tomfoolery. And Craftsman yet to get a win so far this season. So obviously, this is by far their biggest chance to do that. And if either of those teams get a sweep, they could get a little bit more involved in that lower middle half of the table. But at top, we've got Naja versus Terra, 1st versus 3rd. There's a good opportunity to once again get some of that catch up and stop that 1st place being such an obvious first so far.
Alright, that's definitely an interesting one, like you said, Naja versus Terra. Hopefully that one is on stream. But first, Kingsman, any interesting matchups happening in the Terra Conference?
Well, bottom of the table scrap, we see Cardinals take on Basilisk. Cardinals looking for their first series win of the season. And, well, Basilisks, they're going to want to push towards Livens in that 6th place spot. We've gone 4-0-4 now. But the game that I picked out was Alta Jabatus. Jabatus picking up their 2nd win this season and then looking to push top 6 was Alta. Are going 5 unbeaten at the minute. I don't know how long that extends. Someone in chat is going to have to let me know. But massive games all down the table. And the other one I picked out was Mosaic Taisho. Taisho have been on a 4-draw streak in their last week. Hopefully, or they'll be hoping they can end it this week against the Mosaic side that's starting to pick up a little bit more form towards the top of the table.
All right, and that is Prospect done and dusted. Let's move on to the next tier, which is going to be Challenger. First, obviously, looking back to the results of the previous week. And Sir Pegasus, did anything interesting happen in the Glaciers Conference?
Yeah, we saw 5 out of 10 games result in a draw, so some people may find that a bit more interesting than others, and it was a rough week for Mischief and Cascabel, who actually were 4 of those draws. And Bishops also did play Apprentices, with Bishops once again continuing their tear, taking down 2nd place. And this loss from Apprentices actually gets them even further away from trying to fight for that 1st place spot against the dominating Bishop side. And now teams in 3rd and 6th can get that little bit more involved. And it's getting very, very close in the midfield. That is why we're seeing so many draws in this conference so far.
Yeah, definitely are a lot of draws. And like you said, Bishops do keep their dominance. But now, Kingsman, going to you for the Ignis Conference, and I don't see that many draws.
No, but you do see the only sweep in the entire of Challenger this week, which went to Masai, as they got a 4-0 sweep over Canaans. A massive result for Masai, who I believe were near the bottom of the table. I might be completely wrong about that, and someone in chat might absolutely scold me for that, but it doesn't matter. What are they going to do? But anyway, then Serene Yamato, they continued their good form, beating that Masai side 3-1, and beating Orcus 3-1 as well. Orcus, they were looking to push on from potentially a bad start. They did find their first win last season, but it comes to nothing as they get beaten out there. And another team that's pushed on 6-2 this week, Shrine. They got a 3-1 onto Crusaders and also a 3-1 onto Pardus. 2 mid-table sides, but it's big results for them, and it will keep them pushing on for the fight for first.
Yeah, and now with those results, like I said, only 1 sweep, but a lot of more wins. We're going to look at the standings. So Pegasus, giving this one straight to you for the Glaciers Conference.
And the lead extends for Bishops. They are now on 9 extra wins compared to 2nd place Apprentices, who, as mentioned before, did drop places to Bishops. And this middle part of the table, once again, just gets closer and closer. We're seeing a few switches with teams like Feather and Cascabel, Galvier and Neptunium, and Mischief making some progress, and Kyomi having a big drop. But 10 points for last place, going all the way up to 3rd, only being 17 this early in the season. Like I said, there's just so much fight left in this conference, and I think at the end of the season, we're going to see a lot of scrambles for those play-ins and playoff spots.
Yeah, I think if we look at Challenger in general, Glaciers is the closer conference, because now going to Ignis, Kingsman, giving it straight to you, what can you tell me?
Well, Serene Yamato, they're still unbeaten, and they will still remain at that top of the table. Shrine, though, it's a series gap between them and 3rd and 4th. It's a brilliant potential breakaway to the top 2 sides. There's Kapakli and Eclipse tied on 18. Eclipse, last season's finalists, they're putting up a good run of form here, but not this week with a loss and a draw. Masai finding that 4-0 will take them tied with Pardus. Another team not to find a win this week, Pardus, but Masai were able to capitalize and find themselves on a zero goal difference. And then it's 15 for Crusaders and 14 for Komodos, who I'd say have a chance, as Komodos went positive this week. And Orcus and Canaans down at the bottom. I think they've got a bit of work to do if they want 6, especially Kanan. Sorry, Tavish.
Yeah, I know it's been a rough couple of weeks, but we'll bounce back. But near 0 is definitely difficult to say, Kingsman. But we won't go into it. But now, fixtures for week number 5, Pegasus Glaciers Conference.
Obviously, everyone has their eyes on that Bishop side. Can their dominance and can anyone even scrape out a draw? Apprentices looks like their biggest hope for the conference, but they do play Feather this week, which is currently the 3rd place team just behind the beaten Apprentices side. And Apprentices will want to gain some ground again. It'll get a lot easier with having to play Impulse, who are currently, I believe, in 8th place, and also Gelvier, which could be a bit of a tussle, I think. And lower in the table, it still gets tough for teams like Oracles, who are looking to get themselves even more back into this. Impulse will probably be their easier game for this week.
Yeah, definitely, like you said, Bishops versus Feathers is going to be an interesting one. But now, moving to the Ignis Conference, Kingsman, are there any interesting matchups happening over there?
Well, we have 5th versus 6th, both tied on 17 wins. It is Pardus versus Masai. Masai, they found that 4-row sweep. Can they continue getting wins on a Pardus side that hasn't won, at least in their last 5? So, big game in the mid-table. But also a game near the top. We will have Serene Yamato playing Kapakli. And, well, as much as Kapakli have 3-2 and 3, this is a chance for Yamato to potentially extend their lead away from those in the top 3 and push on to a lead and potentially get as far away as Bishops have. But that was a long way out of sight for them so far. But another big game at the top, Shrine versus Eclipse. If Shrine and Yamato win their respective games, I'm going to be very, very curious about that gap between them and the other 8 teams in the conference at the end of week 5.
Yeah, so in both conferences we have the number 1 taking on the number 3, and in Ignis we also have the number 2 taking on the number 4. A lot of interesting matchups happening here in Challenger, but now moving on to the rival tier and going straight into the results from week number 4. Starting obviously again with Glacies and Pegasus. Are there any interesting results?
Yeah, it was an absolute tussle at the top of the table. Mirage having to play against both Journeymen and Knights, but to be the best, you have to beat the best. And they did beat one of the teams, they did beat Knights. However, they got a draw against currently 2nd place, spoiler alert, Journeymen. So it's getting increasingly close at the top, both teams having to fight for that top spot. And Continuum, Ash and Uranum at the bottom of the table actually managed to gain their 2nd win, 2 of those wins being against Montbéliard, who certainly aren't having their best week. And Continuum, they did have a double loss within that last week. Obviously, they managed to lose against... good week for Continuum after their double loss week, which includes a draw against Mystics, who are a top side at the moment.
Yeah, so a couple sweeps, couple draws, and a good week for Continuum, which is obviously very nice if you had a bad week in the previous week. But now going to the other conference, Kingsman, see a couple wins, couple draws, and only 2 sweeps.
Yeah, only 2 sweeps, and one of the teams I'm going to pick out from them is Hydra's. Massive as they go 7-1. It's a huge week for the Titans, who I believe were at the mid-table going into last week, finding only their 2nd loss of the season last week. They needed a bounce back, and well, they've certainly got a bounce back. What a result for them. But also a team that maybe people won't pick out, but I'm going to, is Caligo. They've had a very good week, roster change, and they get a win against a side that were unbeaten all season long in Onka. It's a nice 3-1 there. And they get a 2-2 draw with Erebos. So this roster change for Caligo is clearly pushing them to some lengths, and potentially they could push towards the top 3 now.
So Onka losing their first match, and Hydra's making a beautiful week here. So now let's look at the standings. Going obviously first to Glacies, And Pegasus, how did everything change after this week number 4?
Well, you're starting to see how significant that draw between Mirage and Journeyman are now that they only have a difference of 1 win between them. And you see from 6th to 2nd place, there was quite a lot of movement. Knights having to face Mirage was quite an unlucky matchup for this week. So I think it's a bit better than it looks for them right now. I don't think they're going to consider that drop in place too highly. And it was Uranium, like I said, that had not the best week as they dropped down the table. I think that's both behind Mystics and Python. And same said for Continuum, who, after their double loss, managed to scrape themselves a draw against a hard side. So just like at the top, the Knights, I don't think it is as bad as it looks. Having that red arrow next to you can be demotivating, but I wouldn't think too much of it.
Yeah, red arrow next to your name isn't that fun, but looking at them, 21 wins, they're only 2 behind the number 1, so more than enough opportunities to bounce back. Now going to the Ignis Conference, and Kingsman, did anything change here?
Well, a comment on that one is a red arrow is certainly enough to cause roster changes, I'll tell you that. But anyway, Onka and Meiji, they're still tied at the top. I know it says they move up, but they definitely didn't move up. But they will be at the top. Hydras, though, brilliant week, only 1 behind on 22. A whole series behind then. We have Nightfall on 18, who are comfortable in 4th at the minute. And the teams below do not even have 50% win rate, which is ridiculous, but it shows how close it is. Erebos and Caligo tied with 15, but Caligo and Erebos both tying this week, so a 1-game swing really shows the differences in these games. Tizok and Yoruba, though, big weeks for them as they managed to go 1 off and 2 off with 14 and 13. Sentinels in 9th with 11 wins, not that far off, but a team that is looking a bit further off than the rest is Sanctum. They're on 6 wins, and well, form needs to pick up soon.
Yeah, Sanctum definitely having a rough patch there, but besides that, the top 3 is close here, same as in the Glaciers Conference. So now, let's take a look at the fixtures if any top teams or bottom teams are facing each other, and Pegasus, giving it first to you.
And Montbéliard, I hate to say, they are on a massive loss streak at the moment, but there is hope as they do face Continuum, who are currently in 8th place, who did actually come off a decent week with a draw and a win, but I think that's going to be their biggest chance they're going to have in a while. Tombow also were on a double loss and have to face Journeyman. It's going to be a rough patch for them at the moment, so we'll have to see if that roster even stays together after going through such troubling times. And Knights also face Uranum, trying to once again catch up to Journeyman and Mirage, who aren't too far ahead of them. So I think we're going to see a lot of movement in the next week, whether that is within rosters or on the table. It's going to be certainly an interesting one to watch.
So we're definitely going to look forward to RSCast next week to see if your prediction is right. But first, Kingsman, what about the matches that you have in the Ignis Conference?
Well, a big game near the bottom of the table. Sanctum have Tizok. Tizok have been on a 2-loss streak, where Sanctum have been finding draws recently. So a potential for shock there. And well, Sentinels, they did get their first win last week and they play Sanctum. So it's 9 versus 10, but a huge week for Sanctum. A week where they can continue, they can pick up form. A week where they can really look to push towards top of the table. And then a matchup that I'd say a big week here, big proving week for Caligo. They play Serene Meiji, who are tied first at the minute and unbeaten. If they can pull a result there, they'd show how good they are. And they also have Nightfall in 4th, a win and a draw week for them. So they have good momentum at the minute. If Caligo can get 2 wins out of that, considering they technically got their first win last week against top team Onka, then I'm going to keep my eye on that team.
Alright, so here as well, a couple of interesting matchups that can change the entire table, same as in the Glaciers Conference, but it's to be expected. We're in the middle of the season here. So with that, Rival is done. We're moving up another tier. We're going to Elite. And Pegasus, giving it this one again straight to you. What happened in the Glaciers Conference?
Well, a lot of people find draws boring. A lot of the time, I am that person, but not this week, as Bladesmiths ended up drawing Anju and Caspian drew Rooks. These are top two teams that are ahead of the middle of a pack by quite a lot, losing points against teams which there's always a chance that they can lose to, but it's not what you would bet on. So hopefully the gap will start to close in that conference as time goes on. And Saturnia, it doesn't show it there, but they did in fact get 2 wins, one against Scorch and one against Deception. So they are all bottom teams, but every win counts and every win is worth the same. So hopefully they can start to catch up, because when we move on to the next screen, this is another conference that is very, very close.
Yeah, and a couple 0-0s there, but that's probably a little bit of a mistake. Because, like you said, a couple of bigger results there. But now, only see one result missing on the Ignis side, so that's a good sign. Kingsman, what can you tell me about the rest?
Probably Serenity forgetting to report it again. Someone put that man on fraud watch. But anyway, big amount of sweeps. Only one draw, which will be picked up between Thanatos and Zulu. No winner being found there, but a winner this week, I'd say, has to be Carbo. They found themselves going 7-1. Huge week against them. Serene Azuchi currently 0-0. Or 0-4. They haven't... I can't say 0-0 because they have lost 4 games this week. And Carbo, they beat Itzcoatl 3-1. So a huge result for them. And if Tavish can correct me or not, but I'm pretty sure they were mid-table or even near the bottom. So that is a massive week for them. Another team having a massive week, though, is Darkness. They're near the top of the table, but a 6-2 double win week will keep them trotting along very nicely.
Yeah, and you said it there perfectly. They were near the bottom, but Serene Azuchi definitely also not having a really good week there. But with all these big results coming in, let's take a look at the standings, how things have changed. And Pegasus, you already mentioned it, so I'm gonna give it straight to you.
Yeah, look at all the rises in the middle of the table as Profits, Andrew, Rooks, and Renai make progress, and Scorch have quite a huge drop, and that's what you come to expect from a double loss week. And just look how close these numbers are on the side, 5 to 8. These are all teams on 14 wins, and Saturnia below them are only 2 behind after their double win week. Bladesmith and Caspian, like I said, quite high up, but the draws that they both got allowing teams like Renai to get that bit closer. So a lot of progress for the teams in the middle of the table, but that can collapse so quickly. Nothing is stable in the Elite Glacies conference.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that. But I hear someone laughing in the back here. So let's go to that laughing man. Kingsman, what about the Ignis standings?
Oh no, I laugh because it's so true, because I'm sat with one player in my elite roster at the minute. I laugh because it is so true, everything falls apart so quickly. It is ridiculous. Anyway, enough about my teams crumbling at the seams. Drakes, they still find themselves in first place with 24 wins, a huge 75% win rate for them, but Darkness are only 1 behind here. They keep an unbeaten run, whereas Drakes have had 2 losses in the last 4. A slip up in form allows Darkness to catch even closer. Then it's Vanguards in 3rd place. They're going to slip behind, just ahead of Temple, who I believe haven't even had that game reported. But if I'm correct, I will go grab the result now. It was a 2-2 Temple and Azuchi, so a draw with Azuchi, haven't got a win yet, not the result they'd have wanted. Tigris, though, are 5th in 19. It's a top 5 battle in Ignis. We see that normally a lot in one of the conferences. And Thanatos holding on to 6th place on 15 wins. Carbo, though, double win week. It's a huge week for them that sees them sit 7th place and challenging Thanatos for 6th. Itzcoatl, though, they're slowly draining down the table and 10 wins in 8th place. Zulu and Serene Azuchi 1 game off each other on 8 wins and 7.
So here, it's not only the top 3 that's close, it's basically the top 5, top 6 is in a good position to make it happen. But with all those standings, there has to be some interesting matchups. Pegasus, going first to you for any interesting Glaciers matches.
And Scorch had a dramatic drop on the table, as we saw on the last screen before, after 2 losses. So they're going to have to hope to gain some ground this week. And it's going to be a bit of a rough game against Rooks. I think that will be a close one. That's one that I would personally predict as a draw if they manage to pick themselves back up. But they also have Deception to play. Now, Deception, they are on a 4-loss streak. They definitely have a target on their back for Scorch to try and bring themselves back up. But, ladies and gentlemen, it's first versus second place. Bladesmith versus Caspian. Fingers crossed that one is on stream, because that is going to be a very interesting affair. One of the best that Elite has got to offer. Bladesmiths then have to play Velocity only 2 days afterwards, which will be an easier matchup, and I'm sure their strategy will change based on how that Caspian match goes.
Yeah, so you say you have the most interesting matchup in the Elite tier, but Kingsman, can you beat that first versus second?
Well, if we're looking at it from a table point of view, no, but I think from pure excitement, I definitely can. As we have Drakes versus Vanguards. 3-game difference, both coming on a win-loss week, both finding their first and second losses of the season. So both teams being shaken up a little bit here. But it's a chance for both teams to prove who is the best. And, well, a game that I've picked out not because of its velocity, but just because it's another proving week for a DSQ team. It's Carbo versus Darkness. Top of the table versus 7th. But Carbo coming off probably the best run of form in last week. So it'll be very interesting to see how they perform against the top table side. Along with that, they've got Zulu. So if they don't get a result against Darkness, they can always bounce back against Zulu. But again, Tavish in these higher tiers is just finding teams that are making an amazing comeback.
Yeah, and it's totally not because my franchise is in the Ignis Conference, but sorry, Pegasus, I find that those matchups a little bit more interesting. But now, moving on to, not the highest tier, just one below, we're going to Master. Pegasus, I'm going to give it to you first, though. You can talk about the results from week 4 from the Glaciers Conference.
Yeah, I said it last week, I'll say it again. The upper tiers for Glaciers are so much more exciting for the bottom tiers, and that's because of a lack of draws. Last week, we got decisive results only, and unfortunately for Vulcan, they were on the wrong side for both of them, losing to both Slytherin and Messiahs, with the Slytherin loss being a lot more damning than the Messiahs one. And also we got Illusion and Infinity, our top 2 teams, both getting a loss, losing to Heck, which is a huge upset, and Transcend, which is a little more convincing. There was also a double win for Transcend, which included one against Sophos, who are in 10th place. So a bit of an easier run for them, but decisive results all round. You can't really complain.
Yeah, you said it there perfectly. No draw spotted in Glaciers, and I already see 3 in Ignis, if I can count. Yeah. Yes, I can. So, Kingsman, what can you tell me about the Ignis Conference?
Pig said you can't complain about the results. Well, my team got beaten twice, and I won a game, so... Good point. I can't complain. I won a game in Master. You are right. No one can complain. Anyway, moving on to the real point tonight. It's another double draw week for Haven. Their second one on the bounce. These Sanctuary teams just love getting their draws. They feature in 2 of the 3 draws. And Hades versus Haven, that was first versus second. It ended up in a draw as well. But the only sweep in this conference will come from Abyss as they swept Dogon. It was a bottom of the table scrap, and well, Abyss come out positive with a draw and a win, which shoots them away from the bottom of the table. But the team that's going to have a week to forget about is going to be Wyverns. 2 1-3s losing out to Montezuma, a team that was pushing towards the top, and well, they found their other loss to Leo, who are a side, I believe, just in the mid-table. So games they needed to be win, Wyverns. that they just weren't getting results for.
Yeah, so a lot of interesting results here as well. Moving now straight to the standings. Because a lot of results and Glacies no draws here. So Pegasus, what changed?
Well, Illusion obviously have now got themselves into first place, but only by a gap of 1 win, which you could argue should be a lot wider. But now you can see how much of an upset it really was to lose to Heck, who have made some progress after that big win. And Vulcan, despite their double losses, managed to keep their position, but they're not too far away now from Messiahs, who are on incredible form after a double win week. Like I said last week, this tier doesn't seem to show a lot of movement, but I think it's going to be about time.
Yeah, so here everything is pretty close except the bottom 2. So now going to Ignis Conference. The conference where we had 3 draws, so maybe a little bit less movement. But Kingsman, what happened here?
We certainly do see movement, and it's Hades overtaking Havens at the top of the table. And there you go, Hades top, Havens second, 22 and 21. But it is close down the rest of the table. 3rd through 9th, only separated by 7 games. That gap's been a lot bigger in every other tier. Montezuma take 3rd and 19. Gladiators 4 on 18. Leo, they've finally broken the curse of being in between negative goal differences. They find 5th place. Serene Nara, with their new signings, ended up in 6th place, just ahead of Wyverns, who had an absolute stinker of a week, and to be tied with Abyss, who had the complete opposite. A brilliant week for them, and Nox find themselves in 9th on 12 wins. Double loss week for them. 2 double loss weeks in a row, not looking good. And Dogon, they picked up their first draw of the season. So potential things to look on the up.
Yeah, and luckily I can give you some information about Nox. We cut 2 players, signed 2 new players, so maybe an opportunity.
Ooh.
But Kingsman, before we continue, I do have a question for you. Is it Montezuma or Montezuma? Because I'm struggling here to hear you say it.
Oh, that's good.
I said Montezuma, personally, but I'm probably wrong.
Okay,
I've been wrong with a lot of names in the RSC past.
That's
Yeah,
how I
you're
say
becoming
it, if
the-
that means anything.
You're
Where's
becoming the new
Ruby?
Buddha.
Where's
You're just
Ruby
having
in
the
snow?
difficult-
Where
Now
are
first
they?
moving. We'll get the response later. Now first moving to the fixtures. Pegasus. Any interesting matchups happening in Glacies?
Well, Vulcan are trying to come back, like I said before. I hate to put so much focus on it. They did have a double loss week, and they face Illusion for one of their games, so they might receive their 3rd. But with Illusion dropping to games to teams like Heck, which they really shouldn't have, anything is possible. But Vulcan also play Kings, who are a lower side. We said those bottom 2 teams are, quite a bit below the rest of the table, so hopefully they can catch some stride there. And Illusion, just like we said, do have to face Vulcan and Infinity. It's actually going to be quite a rough week for our number 1 team here in Master Glacies.
Alright, a lot of interesting matchups, and probably like all the previous tiers in the Glacies Conference, standings next week are gonna be changing. But first, going to the Ignis Conference. Kingsman, what matchup did you pick?
Well, big week for Wyverns and Haven. Both have been finding draws and losses all around the board, but they play each other. We're gonna either see one team win, draw, or lose. So we're gonna break the streak regardless. So I'm happy for that at least. But Abyss, they've come off a massive week, but they have an even bigger week ahead. They play Haven in 2nd place, and they play Hades in 1st. So that is a match where games need to be won. Even though they're 8th place, they'll probably be fancying their chances coming off of a brilliant week like that. A win and a draw for them. 2 unbeaten, 1 loss in the last 4. Let me get my words out. And, well, game for 6th versus 5th is going to be Nara versus Leo. It's a side that will really separate the top 5, because the gap above Leo is 2 wins, and the gap below Serene Nara is 1, and Wyvern's on a bad run of form. So potentially we could see a divide between the top 5 and bottom 5 after this week.
That does make it very interesting. And with that, we're done with Master. We're going to the top tier now. We all know what we're talking about. We're talking about Premier. And hopefully we have a lot of results to talk about. Pegasus, straight to you. What happened in Glacies?
Yeah, sadly, I don't have too much to talk about here. We did see Council of Sur face off against Affuser and actually securing themselves a 2-all there. You really can't complain with that if you are the Affuser side, who have actually played, I believe, the most games in the conference at the moment, same as Council of Sur. So these are our best schedulers. We'll give them MVP for that. But Solace, they secured a win against Click. If you looked at the table, that is what you would come to expect, I think it's fair to say. And obviously, the other 3 games, we don't have any data for yet.
So, we have a draw and a win. Now, going to you, Kingsman. You have also 2 results to talk about. So, what can you tell me?
Woo! Yeah, we do. And, well, one of them is going to be Oblivion, getting a 3-1 onto Sentient, keeping their unbeaten run of form. It's a massive result for them. And also a team having a massive result is Tenebris. They keep Mustuflux without a win, and they get a sweep. Obviously, only playing 1 game in Premier is massive, and a 4-0 will help you massively compared to teams only 3-1 every week. And, well, for the other sides that haven't played yet, sort your scheduling out. I'm disappointed.
Agreed.
Yeah, Kingsman is disappointed. I'm disappointed in Kingsman saying Montegemar. I'm also disappointed in Sir Pegasus saying saying Fusa instead of Ophiusa. But let's look at the standings. Pegasus, first to you.
It's a new org in RSC, okay? It's very hard, but...
Yeah, sure.
But it's hard to say a lot when they haven't played too many games, but you look at teams like... Sorry, how was that pronounced again? Mr. Second Place. How was that pronounced again, Tavish?
Ophiusa Esports.
Ophiusa Esports. They've played 16 games, which leaves room for the teams behind them, like Solace Esports Berg, to leapfrog them and get just behind Visionary, who actually do still have a series left to play, so could increase their lead by quite a bit. And you'll see that is very possible with who they play next week, but no spoilers yet.
Alright, so... yeah, a lot of series in hand for a lot of teams, so nothing to be said truly about the standings, but Visionary is still at the top. That's one thing that's certain. Now, going to the Ignis Conference. Kingsman, how are the standings here?
Well, Hosky, they have a series in hand, and they're still top of the table. It doesn't matter. 92% win rate, just casually. But Oblivion, they are tied with them technically on 11 wins. So a brilliant run of form for Oblivion as they push their way on. Tenebris, though, that sweep moves them up to 3rd, and Sentient ahead of Kronos and Leviathans. Only, I say, on games played, because those games that need to be played will shift the table dramatically. If Kronos and Leviathans tied on 6, 50% win rate. Panthera and Shaman also on 12, tied on 5. Team Serene are on 4 with a 0 goal difference. And they're tied with Mustuflux, who have played all their games and have worryingly been swept twice and drawn twice. So they're going to hope that things can pick up relatively shortly.
So luckily in Ignis, a lot of teams still have a series in hand, but not as many in Glacier. So the results are a little bit more steady. Now going to the fixtures, let's see how many matches are scheduled for the coming week. And looking at the Glacier's conference, well, Pegasus, you have 1 match to talk about.
Yeah, and it's Visionary versus Ox Gaming. The current first place against, sadly, the current last place Ox Gaming, with only 1 game win out of 8 games so far. Visionary with 10 out of 12. You do the maths, there's a clear favourite in this matchup, and hopefully the other teams can get their game scheduled, because I think there's some exciting ones there.
Yeah, now, Kingsman, you don't have 1, but 2 matchups that are at least scheduled out of the 5, so go ahead.
Yeah, and they're both on Wednesday. Oblivion, Mustuflux. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a blow-away for Oblivion. Tenebris, Hosky. That's a game I want to see. Both first versus third. Going to be a brilliant game. And Kronos Team Serene, table near the bottom, but I'm not going to talk about them too much. Sentient Leviathan. Sentient been very good on scheduling. this season, and fair play to them. They play the Leviathans, who are 1-1-1. A win for Sentient will give them that drift ahead of Leviathans. Obviously, with Leviathans having that series in hand, it'd be really good for them to get a win. And Shaman Panthera, both sides on 5 wins, so a sweep for either one of them will separate them massively. Shoot them up as high as 3rd.
So good opportunity in the Ignis Conference, but with those final fixtures, that's everything done for all the tiers. So now moving to the franchises, and Sir Pegasus, I'm gonna give you the first go at the bottom 10 of the franchise standings.
Yeah, it's nice to see DSQ gaining some space now, trying to push their way up the table. They do have a series in hand compared to Ox Gaming, who, despite being bottom, do actually only have 148 games played, with the second lowest being 156. So they definitely have some catching up to do. A lot of drops and a lot of rises, with Visionary and Systema being the only teams other than DSQ to have that blue arrow next to them.
Yeah, so after this RSCast, we're gonna give you a little bit of a course on how to pronounce franchise names. But now, top 10, Kingsman, what can you tell me?
Might of Hades and Visionary tied at 9th and 10th on 89 wins. Alpha Surge, Team Serene and Panthera Esports tied on 91, 2 game wins ahead. Forger and 5th on 97. Council of Sir are 4th on 98. Ophusa I've said it wrong, I don't care. Ophusa Esports on 102 wins.
Imagine.
Sanctuary, 2nd on 103. What are they going to do? Cry about it. Okay. And Shadow Esports, they are 1st on 107 wins. And this whole series gap, that could be closed by Sanctuary, because their game in hand, I believe, is with their premier team, who have currently only dropped one game all season.
So there we have it, all the results and the fixtures and the standings from all the tiers, and now also the franchise standings. So with that, we had a lot of results, a lot of matchups, everything to talk about. Some results that we didn't get yet because, well, Premier does have that opportunity to play a little bit later. But luckily, with all those tiers, with everything happening, we do get some clips from all our players. So, let's start with clip of the week. Let's see how mechanical, how beautiful the team plays are. Let's just roll the tape.
I see them with a very good chance of taking at least one game off his side.
And if we're looking at the... Hold on, Sam Dust trying to go for his solo play, and he's got the double! It's incredible! He is unstoppable! His name is Sam Dust! You will see him on Team of the Week!
Bro, missed.
Okay, so we were kind of here watching one clip that was a fail, turned to a meme, and then into a clip, so interesting. But, Pegasus, I'll let you go first the entire time. This one I'm going to Kingsman first. Kingsman, what do you think?
Well, I had 3 of my own players in there, and they're all going to hate me at the end of this, because I'm going for someone not on my own franchise. Out of the 3 of the 5, I'm not going for it. I'm going for someone who's going to be my Rocket Sundays teammate in Sinksy mainly because it the first fail and then going for a flip reset ceiling shot in Rival just is incredible. So you know what? Fair play, Sinksy. You get my vote.
All right, 60's getting Kingsman vote. Pegasus, what do you think?
I'd love to be interesting. I'd love to be a contrarian, but Sinksy's goal was just too much. I knew as soon as I saw it that was going to be the one I go to. Zen-esque. That was beautiful.
All right. Well, I'm gonna be boring actually, because I'm not agreeing with both you. I'm going JPEG, because Kingsman, I'm supporting your franchise.
Oh.
Never thought I would be doing that, but you know, I did for now. So be happy. This is a one in a lifetime moment for you. But come on, I have to give it to JPEG. It's a beautiful getting the 50% double there from the backboard, and now we're just gonna wait a little bit because the poll is still running. But I have to admit, Monkey Mode was apparently, according to the clip on Ophiusa, so Kingsman, how did that make you feel?
Betrayed. He's been with me for the past 3 seasons, 2 of them in Master, winning the title twice, and the other one now in Prem, and I feel betrayed by the staff, personally, that they thought he was on Ophiusa. I feel personally robbed, but there you go, Sinksy is going to win Clip of the Week. I don't know how, because I closed it thinking JPEG had won it, because Sinksy was on 2 votes. All of a sudden, he's gone to 6, and he is your winner for Clip of the Week, with probably the funniest clip I think I've ever seen.
Yes. So let's roll the tape again. Let's get a good glimpse at that beautiful clip of Sinksy.
I see them with a very good chance of taking at least one game off his side.
And if we're looking at the... Hold on, Sam Dust trying to go for a solo play, and he's got the double! It's incredible! He is unstoppable! His name is Sam Dust! You will see him on Team of the Week!
Bro, missed.
Alright, that is it. That was a clip of the week. Now let's go straight into fail of the week. Because obviously, with all the beautiful clips that everyone submits, there also are a couple moments where you whiff a ball or completely do something that you're not supposed to do while in-game, like make an own goal. So let's run the tape. Let's see all the beautiful failures that happened the previous week.
This could be it, actually.
Hey.
Just also get that in. Yeah. End of.
Okay, well, Sir Pegasus is crying, so that's a good thing. Kingsman, what did you think?
Interesting how Sinksy somehow managed to feature again. I'm convinced that was in the same series as well. That's the worst bit. because it's the same car. If that's the same game, Sinksy, please let me know, because like that is how has that happened? For a start, False Dragon missing the opener on Sinksy's clip of the week, and then I think Maurice just deciding he's had enough and slamming the ball into the back of the net.
Yeah. So, Pegasus, you can breathe again, I think.
Yeah. Big up old Hamsty. What an absolute legend for compiling these clips together. But it's a shame he had to score it on his own net, because it was actually quite a nice finish. He could have had some competition against Sinksy if he did it in the other side, but that's how it goes. Sometimes you end up in clip of the week, but it guarantees you the win. So maybe he was playing the meta game.
Yeah, so let's run the clip one more time. Let's have a good laugh, and then we'll continue with the weekly awards.
This could be it, actually.
Just also get that in. Yeah. End of.
Alright, there we have it. We had the clips of the week, we had one beautiful fill of the week. So now let's move on to the weekly awards. The moment everyone's been waiting for, because now you can either boost your ego or, try to get better and boost your ego next week. And Pegasus, starting with you, you can do the prospect.
Oh my word, well, we're seeing the same name. We're seeing the same name 3 times. I was about to say second, but MVP, finisher, and striker all belonging to, and why have they given me another name like this? I'm going to go with Lucky. Lucci. He's gone on an absolute tear in the offensive third, but their teammates are... Oh, I don't know how to pronounce that either. Tavish, do you want to take the name of who got the playmaker?
Jobs.
Thank you. I'm not risking it again. But Savior going to someone else. They got it away from Visionary. Let Fort Templar take one of these accolades this week, and it's 3inarrow.co.uk with the Savior.
Yeah, and there you have it, the prospect players of the week. Now, Kingsman, hoping you have easier names in Challenger.
Well, Yummy is going to be your MVP from the Orcus roster. Oh, this name is quite hard to say. I think I'm just going to miss it, to be honest. It's quite hard to pronounce. So, your striker is going to be 2 Blue, 2 Luke, tied with what? That's wait. Can we just admire this for a minute? 2 Blue, Luke 2, and Tavish both got 100% shooting. I think that's the first we've seen 100% shooting, but Tavish isn't going to get it. It's going to be 2 Blue, Luke 2 with your striker. B-Shake, though, is going to be your playmaker for the Shrine roster. And Toxic 911, he is an FA now. 3.25 saves, but I gotta give credit where credit's due. So Pegasus, he's gonna be your finisher. He's on the desk, but on the field, he is clearly clinical with 2 goals a game.
Yeah, congrats, Pegasus. I feel kind of left out. But now, Pegasus, going to you with the rival.
Yeah, you need to put a number in your name, and you would have taken that. But MVP is going to Mithril of Shadow Esports, and an FA finding themselves with an accolade with a finisher of 1.63. Quite a high score, not as high as me, but pretty impressive and a better tier. And Striker and Savior both being owned by Fort Templar with a 58.33% shooting percentage for Mr. Black and Dandy.
How is Samuel difficult to pronounce?
It could have been like Samael. I don't know. I'm not the best with names, as we've discovered today.
Alright, Kingsman, Elite Tier. You can continue.
We've got Wavy of 558 points per game, your MVP. Also your striker with 66% shooting. And Move is going to be your finisher of 1.88 goals per game. Wavy's also your savior, by the way. with
More.
3 saves per game. He's good. He's very clinical all around the field. And Sanctuary take another one, with Mamba being your playmaker, almost filling out completely all 5, but Mauve has to ruin it.
Yeah, Moth definitely has to ruin it. But now, going to the Master Tier! Pegasus, hopefully you have easier names.
Oh, please, please. Yes, we start off well with Spoods with 541.38 points per game. That is absolutely ridiculous, but he's in the Master Tier for a reason. We get another 100% shooting percentage for Keza, who's topping it and representing Team Serene. And we see 2 Green Phoenix players here. We've got Mimical with the finisher accolade with a 2.13 goals per game and 1.88 assists, hopefully giving those assists to Mimical by Earthling. Oh my. We're going to go with just Earthling there, and Snowy with 2.5 saves per game, just edging out Appy, who also got 2.5.
Yeah, you're definitely struggling with the names here. Earthling jury of getting the credits there. But now, Kingsman, you can close it down with the Premier Tier.
Reiko is going to be your MVP, your finisher as well. 477 points per game, 1.25 goals per game. Reese Fox is going to be... Oh my god, it's a shadow. Do we get 5 out of 5? I'm just going to wait. No, we don't. Reese Fox is going to be your striker, 44% shooting rate. Reiko also going to be your playmaker. He got both of those awards based on a tiebreaker, so fair play. And, well, your saviour is going to be Regsa from the system, I think it's called Solace, their Premier team, with 2.5 saves per game. What a lineup for Shadow.
Yeah, it definitely is. And now, Pegasus, what about our Team of the Week?
Well, in Prospect, we've got ourselves Trixer. In Challenger, we have Azatu of Shrine, and Shadow Esports feature twice here, with Mithril taking it for Rival. Sorry, the screen got very laggy for... Sorry, the screen got very laggy for me there. I couldn't see anything. I am back, and in the upper tiers, we had Wessel for DSQ, Spoods for Visionary, and Reiko, who we saw taking as many accolades as he could for Shadow Esports.
Yeah, I thought we lost you there for a minute, that you didn't want to pronounce the easy names of the 6. But those are your 6 players in the Team of the Week. And now, obviously, we had the results, we had the standings, fixtures, clips, fails, weekly awards, but we do have another big thing, and it's the Fantasy League. And Kingsman, I'm just gonna give it to you. Take it away.
Well, I'm gonna make Pegasus' life easy, and I'm gonna do everything that says fantasy. I'm gonna do the more side of it. Snow is going to be your weekly top 3 with 1,400 points. And Mox is going to be your overall leader with 5,350. Then your weekly top managers is me, Snow and Master, 308 points. Senor Goofy and Silly, Axlos on 348 points. Sinksy on 299 in Rival. And a brilliant name in Challenger. I will respect it and say it with passion every time I see it. It is Rude Van Nipplejoy. 303 points in Challenger. And well, in Prospect is going to be Mr. Efficiency with 364 points.
And yes, in predictions, we do have Andre topping it with 30 points to his name, actually equaling Mithril, who was robbed of that higher spot. And next to him, we do have Arch, who's done it again. It's almost like he writes the standings. I say it every week, with the best predictions overall with 115 points, quite far ahead against second and third place, who are Mithril and Ronan.
Yeah, and there you have it, the weekly leaderboard of the Fantasy League. And with that, we had everything now. Everything covered, everything said and done. So, Pegasus, I'll let you go first almost the entire time, so I'm going to let you do it now again. Do you have any final thoughts before we close down RSCast for this week?
I hope I get weekly awards again, and Tavish, I hope you don't get sniped off your podium.
The penny, they ain't touching it. Yeah, they ain't touching it. Next, I just curd that shit. Yeah, album rips. Labels bout to tell me how they gonna make me rich. 50 million, the penny, they ain't touching it. Yeah.
My image has been confidential. What you're trying to make it look like something new for. I'm always confident. You're being extremely truculent. Whatever truculent mean, if that's good, I'm there. Never again make me the underdog.
Speak that into existence. All I really need is a vision. All I really need is persistence. And never to believe that you get it in an instant. Had a grain of salt to everybody's opinion. Fourth and long is really fourth and inches. Stay creating and stay consistent. Find a failure really non-existent. You get the things you think will make you happy. Find out later that we're insufficient. Often where you want to be is on the other side of fear, but you still keep your distance. Post a song on the internet. I'm just hoping I could get someone to listen. Oftentimes it falls on deaf ears and I fall asleep to the sound of crickets. Chirp, chirp. Okay. Who putting in the work, working, yeah. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Who putting in the work. Pardon my pay, I've been in the mazes lately. Starting my way, think it's gonna take some patience. Yeah, sit back with a Kit Kat. Now I'm playing, I don't take breaks. They say what they say, I ain't worried about the naysays. Make way, why you tryna make waves? Work week looking like 8 days. I could really use a vacay. Studio is my safe place.